Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Night Show with your host, Tyler Pierrick. I am here with our very special guest, Annemarie Marsh. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good. How about yourself?
I am doing fine. Very, very well.
Looking kind of spiffy in that jacket, I might add.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is my Sunday Night Show attire. I found this jacket at Salval to find something in case, I wanted to get dressed up at church, and then I found out that I have nothing that matches this. So it only matches a jean and t-shirt, so that's what it's used for now.
It's working.
So Annemarie, why don't you share with us a little bit of who you are, and maybe what you do, and some things like that.
Okay, I'm a very young female who works at Girard Alliance Church. I'm young at heart. As my kids grow up, I realize that I'm getting older and older, and there's certain things I cannot do anymore that I used to try to do. So there are some things on my resume that I would maybe attempt to do, but not anymore. And I've worked at Bath and Body Works. I went local to school, Mercyhurst University here in Erie, Pennsylvania, and now I'm the children's ministry director here at the church. The Lord has taught me a lot over the years, just about His plans for me. I never thought or imagined I would be working in ministry in this way. I did feel a call to be a pastor's wife, actually around the age of 17. So I knew I would be part of ministry some way, but I never thought that I would actually have my own separate ministry as well.
Okay.
So.
And could you elaborate? You referenced your kids and being a pastor's wife. Could you elaborate a little bit more about your family?
Sure. I have a beautiful daughter, Nora. She's 8 and she's in 3rd grade. She's super fun. She's one that you can tell her expressions. You can tell exactly the kind of day that she's having, and I delight in that. And she's a very talented little girl, very hardworking. I have a little boy named Noah, and he's super cute. He's mommy's little boy, and I tell him he always has to be. And he's 6 and he's in 1st grade. Right now, he's like the best little snuggler, cuddler. He's kind of like that easygoing kid, super fun. He tries to be funny all the time, and I think that he'll be a little bit like his father. Growing up through youth group, I can see maybe some of the things that Lamech maybe experienced, Noah experiencing along the way too. So. Yeah, so that's it. I obviously have an amazing husband. I got to give a shout out to my husband because he did that for me.
He did.
He kind of set the bar super high.
Yeah.
But truly, I prayed for just an incredible man of God, just somebody who is authentic and real. And it's awesome because when he stands up there and he preaches, it's the same man that he is on a Sunday, he is at home. Maybe a little bit more competitive at home at times, but the same person he was in youth group growing up is the same person that he is. But we are all super competitive.
Yes.
That is
true.
something that if you ever are outside walking past our house, I apologize. We do like to play kickball, and Noah, Nora, Lamech, and myself are all super competitive. So you will hear us kind of bantering back and forth a little bit about what is right and what is wrong.
Yes, and no one told me how competitive Annemarie truly was until our first staff Christmas party. My wife and I just moved up to the area, and we went bowling, and I'm not a big bowler. I don't bowl often. I'm not good. I was having the game of my life. And I am also super competitive. I just try to not tell people because it can be pretty scary. But I'm sitting there and I'm looking at both screens, and I see that Annemarie's getting ready to go up, and I just simply say, "Hey, Annemarie, it looks like it's just down to me and you for this game." Not knowing what I was opening myself up to, she bowled two strikes on the 10th frame, and then I think got like a 7 or something, and I hit 2 gutters. So that was the first experience of the competitive nature of Annemarie, and I've been intimidated ever since.
And we'll see that later on in games.
Yes,
we'll see how that goes, right?
Yes. And actually, I have the advantage because I am playing we are going to be playing games today that I have experience in, but Annemarie does not.
So I don't know what I'm walking into.
No,
kind
you
of like
do
the
not.
same scenario of bowling, right? You
Yes.
know what you're walking into. I guess I'm going to get to experience that for myself today.
Yes, you will. So you said that you went to Mercyhurst.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose to go to Mercyhurst, and what did you study while you went there?
Wow. When I was a senior in school, I thought I had all of my plans laid out. If you get to know me a little bit, I am a planner. I like to organize. My office is organized,
Yes,
right,
it is.
Tyler?
Yes, it is.
That's just the way that I am made, I guess. And I had plans to actually study fashion merchandising, so I went to Mercyhurst because that was one of the top schools. And then I was going to have an opportunity to go to New York Fashion Institute for my senior year.
Wow.
And I had plans of an internship in Paris and different things that I had kind of scheduled along the way. And gradually, as I grew my relationship with Jesus, not that I couldn't have been used in the fashion retail world, I just realized what I really wanted was maybe more of the hometown, not the city life. And God showed me just kind of where he needed me. And then I met Lamech, and it was all over after that. Sometimes I joke around and say I totally would have been a city girl if he wouldn't have come around. So he's the one who made me a hometown girl instead of a city girl. But I always knew ministry was going to be something that was going to be part of my life. I just didn't really know to what extent. And as I grew my relationship with Jesus, like I said, at the age of 17, I really felt a call to be a pastor's wife. And then I ended up meeting Lamech, and when he introduced me, he said his vocation was pastoral ministries, and then he goes, "Is that okay?" And I'm like, I don't know. Is it okay that you're in pastoral ministries? So he was a little uncertain about revealing that, but it was really cool because in that moment I really felt like the Lord was saying this might be the one. So, and he was. He's definitely and still is the one.
Yeah.
Sure, so.
Amen. And where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in the Erie area. I grew up in an area called Lawrence Park. I went to Iroquois High School, so I'm a local girl. It's really cool because both Lamech's family and my family are from the area. So it's a huge blessing to be able to serve in ministry here at Jordan Alliance Church. It's kind of on the opposite side, though, of Iroquois. So that's like the east side. This is the west side. This is not what I know, but it's still far enough away from where I was. It feels like it's distant. So far.
Okay. Cool. So you shared that when you were 17, you really felt the call to be a pastor's wife. Where and when did you meet Jesus in your life, and how did he, change your life, and where was life before and maybe after?
Man, there's always been an interest, or there's always been something that's intrigued me about church and seeing other people that are faith-filled believers. And I've desired to go to church all the time. Every single Sunday, I would go sometimes with my grandparents, sometimes with my parents, whenever they would go. And honestly, I think it was really my grandparents who played a huge part into God leading to me where he wanted me to be. And I went to Kearsarge Church of God, and I started to just get involved in the youth group. It was 16 when I became saved. I didn't really grow up being part of kids ministry or part of a lot of the different programs in the church. And I always say that it's such a humbling experience to be used in that way when I myself never was able to be part of it. I started kind of in youth ministry is where I kind of started. But it was like a song, and it was when the music fades and all that's stripped away, I simply come. And that song, that worship song was playing. I can just, even see it now. And I just went down to the altar, and I just asked Jesus into my heart and my life at 16. A couple months later, they had an opportunity to baptize people, and I signed up to do that, just to proclaim that, I wanted to show others that I was going to follow him and put off myself. And it was pretty exciting. So 16 was a crucial year, and I always say
Yeah.
it was because of my driver's license, right?
Okay.
So that
okay.
I could actually drive, because Kearsarge Church of God was on the west side of town. I lived on the east side of town,
Okay.
and I could drive to like youth groups. So I always say, parents, don't be afraid. Your kids turn 16. That means that they can be more involved in church, right? And you don't have to take and shuttle them places, right? They can go themselves.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So, yeah.
Cool. And do you have a favorite movie?
I am a Hallmark junkie, so give me any good
Okay.
love story, and that's kind of it. Obviously, I love all of like the fun animated things that are out now.
Yeah.
I probably don't have like a favorite movie, but I don't know. You give me like a happily ever after, and I'm sold. So
Now, do you watch the Hallmark channel?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
Yes.
Just wanted to check that. And one of my last questions for this section: do you have a favorite Bible verse, and why is it would be your favorite, or is there a very powerful verse or a passage of scripture that has really spoken to you?
Yeah, I would say honestly, probably growing up, it was what everybody knows, the love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. And it's really cool because I saw it in a different way before I was saved versus when I was saved. And then being able to place God in those spots where I thought others were going to fill that void, that void that I was feeling, and that it was God himself. So the fact that, God never fails. God is patient. God is kind, and just kind of, I heard something about that and I was like, that totally makes sense, that's my verse. So just
Amen.
knowing that, the love of the Father is the most important thing, and it's the only constant thing that we can count on. So that verse is probably my favorite.
Wow, awesome. Thanks for sharing. And this concludes our first segment. So we are going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to begin the competitive nature of games. So here we go. This first game we're going to play, Annemarie, I don't remember the name of the game, so that's my fault. But the way you play is you start with 2 pencils balancing on your hand. You must throw them up and then catch them. And what we do is we continue until we have 10 pencils on our hand, and the first person to catch all 10 wins. Any questions?
How many times have you done this, Tyler?
I have played quite a bit. I haven't played too often recently, but I've played a while. And just in case anyone's wondering, we do have 2 separate 6-foot tables set up with 2 separate pencil boxes. Annemarie will set up her own pencils, and I will set up my own pencils. So we're being very smart and very safe and still having fun. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! And we are back. Now, Annemarie, what did you think of the pencil game?
It was interesting. I'd like a rematch sometime.
I am always down for a rematch. Those are one of the games that I feel pretty good about because I have small but boxy hands. So I can balance many unsharpened pencils on them. So
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
We will. We'll let Annemarie work on it, and then she'll come back and destroy.
Oh, I got it now.
Okay.
One time is all I need.
Oh, okay. Even better. So we'll just mark that on a game we don't play again. So, but now we're going to take some time to talk about what you do now. So you shared with us earlier that you are the children's ministry director here at Girard Alliance Church. So when and how did you know you wanted to or you were called to serve in the children's ministry?
Actually, when Lamech and I first started dating, we were actually at First Alliance Church, and we always laugh because Lamey kind of grew up in that church, and yet I kind of had a ministry there before he did. I actually worked in kids ministry at First Alliance as a volunteer, and then developed this kids ministry program called God Showers, because worship has always been something that's been dear to my heart. I enjoy to sing, and what better yet to sing praises to the Lord. So to see kids do it is one of the best things ever. So we had this little group that went out into the community. We performed at the Mill Creek Mall and different places like that. So children's ministry has always been something that I've enjoyed being a part of. And through the years, that's been consistent. When Lamech was at Asbury Theological Seminary and I was working, I didn't really get to do any of that. I was kind of just more in a different position. God used that time just to kind of show me different things and work on me, I think, more internally, and what he wanted to see and happen in the years to come. And it was really cool because in that time we were really focusing on his ministry. We always said, you know, the ministry comes before any vocation, any job, anything else. You know, we just want others to know God's love. And so it was, I had an opportunity to, when we moved back here, to work again at Bath and Body Works. And then a couple years later, we ended up getting pregnant with Nora, and it was kind of a weird thing in the timing. We used to have a school here at the church called GACA, and they were having a hard time within the years that we were here, just kind of keeping up. Obviously, private schools in that time period, it was kind of a struggle to, you know, have families be able to support that. Even if they desired it, it was just a hard balance for families to be able to do Christian education. So there was talk about closing the school, and the board here really wanted to make sure that they provided something for the community and really focused on, you know, the development of kids and outreaching to the families all around us. So it was actually the year that I was pregnant that they were searching.
Wow.
And I had given birth to Nora, and they were kind of thinking of different applicants. I remember Lamech one day calling me and saying, hey, would you ever consider, you know, Pastor Clyde and I are sitting here talking, would you ever consider, you know, doing this position? We were talking about all the characteristics of what we wanted, and a lot of it is some of the characteristics that, you know, you have. And I'm like, what? No, you know, like kind of no way, like not me, you know, I'm totally unqualified. You know, I have a degree in fashion merchandising. What do I have to offer? You know, and all of those things kind of play in your mind. And it wasn't like an easy yes answer. You know, I think that there was lots of praying, and I felt like the Lord needed to say like a definitive yes, this is what you're supposed to do. And yet it was cool because I think just God reconfirmed in what others kind of shared with me, and kind of led me into that position. I obviously was already working in kids ministry, you know, with this church when we were here, and already helping in youth ministry and doing anything that I could do to just help the ministries of Girard. But it was really cool because, you know, it was kind of ground up, and one thing I enjoy doing is creating something out of nothing. And it was really cool because I kind of got free reins of like the children's center side, and we got to develop that, and you know, just bring along people who are also passionate about reaching children and their families. And over the years, the Lord really has impressed upon me the importance of families, not just kids. And so I didn't end up having to go back to, I think I went back 1 week to Bath and Body Works, and it's been a huge blessing because I've been able to work from home and, you know, raise my children. It's been a stress too, not only a blessing, it was stressful, but it was just those moments I didn't ever have to miss out on with my children. So I think that God provided over and above what I ever had thought. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. And what have been some of your favorite memories serving in children's ministry? Whether it be the times of volunteering or since being the children's director here?
Honestly, I think it's all the faithful volunteers. I always am amazed every single year when I have to go and write a list of volunteers, and we put it in the bulletin of all those who have served. And I think about the nursery workers, the VBS workers, the kids church workers, the Bible Jam workers, the volunteers for egg hunts, the volunteers for, Kids Connect. And there's so many people that are required to make children's ministry work. It's a lot different than youth ministry. Even though you need people, you need like double the people in kids ministry because they're just to that stage of maybe not being able to realize certain things, and you have to make sure that they're safe. And just seeing the volunteers over the years, I think, is the best thing, because without them, honestly, nothing can happen, and each person has such unique and awesome talents and abilities that I get to see them use those. So that's really
and it's just not a Wednesday night kind of thing. You have a lot of children's ministry on Sunday mornings, and you need tons of volunteers with those aspects as well. So there's a lot to it. So if anyone was interested in volunteering or getting plugged in, how can you get plugged in?
Come just as you are, is what I tell you, right? We all have something to offer. Obviously just a simple conversation with me about what, you enjoy doing. And sometimes it takes trying a couple things. I have a couple people that I definitely won't call for a kids fun night. It's a little bit of a night that's a little bit less structure and a little bit more fun and crazy. So we do a little devotion and stuff like that, but there's just different areas where each person could be plugged in and used somehow, some way. So.
Very cool, very cool. Another question I have is, so right now we're in a time of social distancing due to COVID-19 and everything else. So what does the children's ministry look like right now? Because everything looks different. So can you kind of share with, maybe there's some people at home that don't know what's going on with the children's ministry and can still get plugged in. So what is going on with the ministry?
Yeah, so one thing that we've definitely tried to do is create some fun activities for kids. Obviously, we had that big craze of the bear hunting. So we tried to do something in the church where we did a bear hunt around the church. We were able to do a cool egg hunt, for us to be able to have some type of normalcy to the things that we offer our church and community. And it's cool to see the Lord in those things, because even as we think of these things, we're like, I don't know how this is going to come together. And then it just comes together way better than we could have ever thought or imagined. And then we are doing Zoom. We're using the Zoom app to meet together, and it's really cool because we're able to divide it per ages. It's kind of like our Bible Jam time, where we get that small, more intimate time. And we've been able to separate it, boys and girls. So we meet Mondays at 11 for our little tots, our preschoolers, and our kindergartners, and they are so cute, and they are just so excited to see each other. So even the importance of fellowship and meeting together for them is so key in their relationships and friendships. And we're able to do a little devotion, do a little worship. It's not the same as being together, but we are thankful for the opportunity to minister in that way. And then we have our boys and girls meetings. So 1st through 5th grade girls is a Zoom meeting at 2 p.m. on Mondays. And that's a fun time. I think that, girls and boys like to be separated around those ages. So that's a really cool and special time. I think I've seen even the girls' relationships of the church, and we welcome anybody else who wants to be part of it. Just, get in contact with us at the church. But just have that camaraderie together, So I pray that this will just be just a stepping stone in them being able to come together and be more unified when they're here, even in kids' church. Those friendships develop and flourish. And then the boys, they meet from on Mondays as well at 3:30. And again, we just do devotions. We talk, ask each other questions, play games, of course, because that's the best part. But just enjoying each other, and having that time to connect, weekly is crucial. And then I've just started putting together, and it's totally out of my element. I'm very much a people person, and but this, I don't know about you, but the screen time that I've been able to have and being in front of people on Facebook and things like that is still out of my comfort zone. But I am thankful for how God uses it. And I've been able to put together a little kids church program and send that out to the families.
Oh, very cool.
We are connected with. So
that's awesome. That's really awesome. And one of the last questions I want to ask, well, this will be the last question for this segment. How can children and families continue to grow during the week? So outside of Sundays and Wednesdays, how can children and families together still grow closer to Christ? Any advice or any good tools or anything like that that you would like to share with the families or any of the little ones able to watch this?
Yeah, sure. I think it's the basic, what we know. Obviously, being in God's Word is powerful. So reading the Bible together would be awesome. Doing devotions together, remembering to pray as a family. But I think even more key sometimes is those elements in the day that we have opportunity to kind of speak the truth into our kids as to what they're going through and apply the scripture to their lives, because we know that a relationship with Jesus is about an everyday thing, an every moment thing.
Amen.
So there's always teaching moments in the day, even for ourselves as parents. And I think just sharing that with our kids and just having that open conversation about forgiveness or, brothers and sisters fighting and why we treat each other well is some of the best moments, I think, in parenting in general and raising them up in the faith.
Yeah, wow, thank you. So we are going to take a few minutes break. I need to change back into my game gear. And when we come back, we are going to be playing another game that Annemarie has no idea about, which gives me another advantage. Okay, so for this next game, I don't even know if this game has a name. It kind of just popped up a year or 2 or 3 ago, and so we're going to call it Directions. And the way this game is played is we're going to take turns. And one person, I'll start, I'm either going to point up, right, left, or down. And if Annemarie looks the same direction I point, she loses. Now then, if she doesn't look the same direction, then it's her turn. And if I look the same direction she's pointing, then I lose. And we just keep going until one of us is a winner and one of us is a loser. Because when we play games, there needs to be a winner and a loser, right, Annemarie?
Definitely, totally agree.
All right. Oh.
I totally lost that one.
So this
is too intense for me.
So this is a pretty wacky game, and it's so weird and wacky it doesn't have a name. But now we're gonna, when we come back, we're gonna talk to Annemarie about kind of all the different roles she has, because she's not only the children's ministry director, she does a lot more around the church. And we are back. Now, that game was
hilarious. We couldn't get a rhythm.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a thing like last year, and clearly it's gone for a reason. So
it's not a thing any longer.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't want to rematch it.
Yeah, I don't either. So now we're going to transition in just the time to talk about like general ministry, because as you've kind of hinted at, you just want to serve. So although your title is Children's Ministry Director, I know that you do a lot more than just children's ministry. Can you share with us maybe some other ministries that you have a part in, or that you've had a part in the past, or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, I think another thing that's near and dear to my heart is obviously women's ministry. In any shape or form. I really appreciate and love a lot of our ministries in this church. One being the Alliance Women. That's a great group of women who just look for projects and opportunities to do work, missions work for others, and support those who are doing that work around the world. So that's one of the things I absolutely love about this church, is we're a very mission-minded church, and we look beyond just these walls and even our communities to the world and what others are doing and how we can really partner with them. So that's something I enjoy being a part of. And then there's just, our Joy Ladies group. I enjoy just moments to a fellowship with these women. And a lot of these women, it's crazy, are the parents of the youth that we had. And the relationships and bonds that we've been able to develop throughout the years is just really exciting and fun. And Kim does an amazing job leading this group of women, and I'm glad to partner in any way I can with them. I honestly get to enjoy it more than anything. This year it looked a little bit different because it's on Wednesdays. We wanted to make it easier for the family unit to do one night a week, with Band of Brothers, Joy, and Kids Ministry all falling on the same week. And that was important for families and just their schedules, and making it a one day of the week thing. So I was very thankful for that, but it was hard because I did miss those relationships. And the other thing is, like, I help with our ladies retreat that we just started last year, and it's just so important to have Christian friendships and fellowship, and understand that generationally we have so much to offer each other. You know, it's not young women only. It's not middle-aged women only. It's not older women. It's all women. We have so much to just share in together, and God purposed us to be able to connect with one another and help each other. So any opportunity I have to be able to put something together like that, and we had just started these ladies worship nights, and it's just powerful to come together as God's daughters. And we started a Man Up group. Lamech started that in connection with our Moms Connect group. We started a Mom Talk group. Again, in kids ministry, I realized that we had a lot of really strong youth and children's ministries, but it was just about really providing for the family the other ministries, and serving the whole family unit. And I love the direction that the church is going, because I feel like that's what we're doing, is ministering to the whole family. And any way I can be used. And I think that a lot of people give me way too much credit for being involved, even though I might be involved here and there. And I do. I like to organize. I like to plan. And my mind is just my mind, and it keeps going, right? When I'm at home or whatever. But it's really about, again, what I see in kids ministry. It's about those who are willing to be used with the gifts that God has given them. I think about this past ladies worship night. I didn't have to really do anything. It was all the hands of the ladies who either did the devotional, led the worship, prepared the treats, and it's just awesome to be part of a community that does those things and is working together, because I appreciate all those people, so much. So
awesome. And going back in time a little bit, when Pastor Lamech served as the youth pastor, what was your role then? I know that looking at the time, eventually you also took over as the children's ministry director, but even before that, before you came into the church to serve in the children's ministry, so what did you do? How did you help him? Because he kind of seems like a do-it-himself kind of guy. He looks like he can do a lot.
He definitely can.
Where were you?
I think you probably see this in your relationship just with Amy and everything that Amy does. I'm sure that people don't even realize that she has a hand in. There's also the sacrifice of the time. Youth ministry is not a 40-hour job a week. It's more than that. And it's being part of these youth and their families' lives. And that's one thing that Lamech and I really enjoyed doing together, was going and supporting these kids in events. I had the opportunity to create the youth room from ground up again. I love doing things like that, creating something from nothing. I was able to walk through that, and help with sleepovers. Lamech referred to this in his interview. I lived and breathed those sleepovers, because I don't require sleep and he does. So the Lord purposed us together for a reason, for that one reason alone, in youth ministry. And I laugh because there was one all-nighter, and the one person that was supposed to volunteer had to end up going into work. Lamech ended up getting sick, and I was pregnant. And we had it was a small group. We used to do all-nighters all the time, like all the time.
Bless your heart.
That ended after this one. Well, let me just say what happened is I was pregnant, and I was the only one who ended up staying up the whole time. So everybody got at least an hour of sleep that night, and I think after that we reevaluated our all-nighters a little bit. But it was super fun. I think that's the beauty of ministry. When a pastor is called, so usually is the spouse in some way, and that's the ebb and flow, is that beautiful partnership and that give and take, and the understanding of the commitment in time, and just helping with things, because we don't necessarily have all of the resources, so we kind of have to be those resources to our spouse. And so I really enjoyed it. I love the relationships with the girls. I did a couple different girl things. One was like a princess party, just talking about their value and worth, and those relationships are forever relationships. I mean, now they're like my friends. It's really neat to see that growth and development in them, and just know that I was able to be part of that.
Yeah, and that princess party, I believe one of our own leaders, or one of our own youth leaders was in there, right? Amanda Birmingham was there.
We should get out some pictures of this princess party and post them somewhere.
I don't know if she would have you that. But yeah, so that's awesome. And yes, I do completely understand. Although Amy might not be in front of the camera all the time like I am, Amy is always behind the scenes doing many things. The things that we can do in the youth ministry now, Zoom, it's because of the support I have at home to be able to do all that. So you might not be, that person that's looked at by everyone, but you're holding up
the
that
back
person.
lines. We're on the back lines.
Yes, amen. So what do you enjoy most about serving in all these different ministries, with the women's ministries, with the children's ministry, as you serve in the youth ministry? You talked about how your favorite memory is the volunteers, those who pick up to serve. You are clearly showing you have a heart to serve. So what is your favorite part about serving?
For myself, I think it's, when you serve, you yourself are filled, and you learn and grow from what others are doing around you. I really enjoy that. But again, I think it's all about just providing opportunities for others to, again, I just want to share the gospel. So I think any way that I can do that, even if it's the smallest of way, a simple card to a friend, or maybe it's a bigger way, like a ladies' retreat, or whatever it be. I just again want to just listen to what God wants and desires for my life and for the ministry, and just kind of follow that. So
wow. And when you speak or teach, so I know on a Sunday morning when we're able to all gather together, you usually have a children's message. And then you go to children's church and able to teach there, and then Wednesday nights. So whenever you teach, or whenever you're speaking in front of a group, or maybe in front of the camera, do you ever get nervous?
Honestly, I don't necessarily get nervous. I think maybe because I grew up with being in plays, and my mom and them, I did pageants, and I sang, and so those sorts of things, I don't necessarily get nervous. Do I feel like I'm equipped for those things? I think that would be like one of the biggest things. I don't always feel like equipped, but it's so cool because it's not that cool to watch yourself, I've learned, because you pick up on little things that you do not like.
You are your biggest own critic.
But I look at it and I'm just like, wow, I didn't even realize that it went that way, And I think so if we just learn to be obedient to what God is asking us to do, I think we do see such fruit from it, because He works in and through us in the areas where we don't feel equipped, and that's obviously in our weakness. He is strong, so He'll provide. But no, I don't necessarily get nervous, as I do feel not equipped, but I know the confidence in that He will help me, so just the confidence in that.
And so do you have any advice for someone who wants to get plugged in ministry, or serve in ministry, or feels the call to ministry? Because as you've shared, your path originally, like your own idea, you weren't going to be in children's ministry where you are right now. But God placed many things on your heart and on your life, and you followed obediently, and now you're here. So do you have any advice for someone who maybe doesn't feel the call right now, or maybe is beginning to look, or just has that urge, whether they're a child, a youth, an adult? Do you have anything to share with them?
Yeah, just know that no matter where God has you, that's your ministry. And just listen, be still, and know that He knows better than we do. And I think Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, and those are plans for His good. And there's nothing better than that. So just continue to, be still and listen to what He desires. And even if you feel ill-equipped at times, like I honestly really do, I just know that He provides abundantly. So
awesome, thank you. And for the final question for this episode, has been kind of the reoccurring question I've asked everyone to end. why do you think it's important for families to go to church? Why do you think it's important for children, for youth, for adults to get plugged in, not maybe just on a Sunday, but through the weekly ministries? Why is it important?
Yeah. God created us for relationship with one another. And there is such beauty in fellowship with other Christians to, encourage us, to challenge us to grow in our relationship with Jesus, and to be there for us when, maybe we're just going through the harder times. So I think church community is one of the most important things that we actually can make sure that we do, because it's others that sometimes help us through those times, that God uses those people to really just help us in our struggles, but also celebrate with us and do life together here on earth. We know that there's such hope in eternity, but while we're here on earth, God has created the community of believers to build up one another.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Annemarie, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
Thank you for meeting me in the games, Tyler.
Yes,
thank you for humbling me today.
You are so welcome. It feels so right that after 2.5 years, I finally got a win over a Marsh.
I might not sleep tonight, but I'm glad you feel good, man.
And that concludes our time for the Sunday night show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking this time. And next week, we will be doing the Sunday night show live on Zoom with a very special guest, my mentor and close friend, Pastor David Hardy. So thank you.